So this was a story that broke right before Tuesday's show that we didn't get to, but I wanted to because I think it's worth doing. We haven't done a story about Palantir in a while, so good to see this. The CEO of Palantir, Alex Karp, defends his position of mass murdering thousands of people using AI technology by insisting that the AI is used to kill terrorists and that the protester is just another useful idiot for Hamas to further its ideology in the West. So we have two angles on this. I'm just going to play briefly a brief part of this first video, and then we'll cut to the second one, because this one we can actually see the protester and where she was located in the room.
Of killing Palestinians when Palantir kills Palestinians with their AI and technology.
Oh.
You're killing my family in Palestine.
Yeah. And
what
you know,
kind of person are you? How do you sleep at night?
Well, if
Shame
you
on you.
do you want to hear my answer?
Okay, so now we'll go to this angle here, the second angle, which is a little closer to him, and we get her rebuttals in subtitle.
Palestinians with their AI and technology.
Oh.
You're killing my family in Palestine.
Yeah. And you know,
What kind of person are you? How do you sleep at night?
well, if you
Shame on you.
do you want to hear my answer?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. So I think the primary cause of death to Palestinians. Okay. Do you want to hear the
Yeah,
answer,
they
or
think
do
it's
you want to
really
yell?
funny.
For no reason.
Well, you don't want to hear an answer? Obviously. So the primary source of death in Palestine is the fact that Hamas has realized that there are millions and millions of useful idiots that will.
Using that excuse, this is why you don't get a platform to speak. Because you are killing my people and you're justifying it because of Hamas or anyone else.
Can we get security up there?
Okay. One of the most.
How dare you?
Okay.
How dare you? Your AI and your technology from Palantir kills Palestinians.
Mostly terrorists. That's true.
No, it's not. And if you say mostly, so it's okay to kill
Okay.
innocent others.
Look.
It's not mostly, spoiler alert, we'll get to that toward the end of the segment. It's not mostly. We covered this more extensively, but it was a long time ago, so I want to look at a couple things.
If your argument was so strong, wouldn't you let me talk? It's so strong. It's so strong. It's so strong. Your argument is okay. That's. Thank you for.
Anyone else who supports this technology and AI to kill Palestinians.
The pain of Palestinians is something that everybody and anyone who dies in war. Obviously, people care about. I care about that. The obvious solution to war is to have the West having the strongest, most precise, deadly weapons possible, so that we can minimize unnecessary innocent deaths. And by the way, the primary way you minimize these deaths is you're so strong no one attacks you. And that's how you actually do it. Now.
Okay, thanks for the edit there from Hotspot. So this is from August of 2013. How a deviant philosopher built Palantir, a CIA-funded data mining juggernaut. I'll take that off so you can see there. So this is from 12 years ago. 12 years ago. Palantir lives the realities of its customers, the NSA, the FBI, and the CIA, an early investor through its In-Q-Tel venture fund, along with an alphabet soup of other counterterrorism and military agencies. In the last 5 years, Palantir has become the go-to company for mining massive data sets for intelligence and law enforcement applications, with a slick software interface and coders who parachute into clients' headquarters to customize its programs. Palantir turns messy swamps of information into intuitively visualized maps, histograms, and link charts. Palantir's advisors include Condoleezza Rice and former CIA Director George Tenet, one of the WMD liars, one of the most famous and outspoken of the WMD liars, who later wrote this mea culpa book about how mistaken he was, who says in an interview that I wish we had a tool of its power before 9/11. Really, I wish you had a tool of its power after 9/11. Maybe you'd have, maybe the AI would have told you the WMDs weren't there. General David Petraeus.
Or you know, George Bush could have just taken the intelligence reports they had seriously.
Right. Yeah, exactly. General David Petraeus, the most recent former CIA chief, describes Palantir to Forbes as a better mousetrap when a better mousetrap was needed and calls CARP sheer brilliant. The bottom line, a CIA-funded firm run by an eccentric philosopher has become one of the most valuable private companies in tech, priced at between $5 and $8 billion. Remember, this was 12 years ago, in a round of funding the company is currently pursuing. CARP owns roughly a tenth of the firm, just less than its largest stakeholder, Peter Thiel, the PayPal and Facebook billionaire. Other billionaire investors include Ken Langone and hedge fund titan Stanley Druckenmiller. That puts CARP on course to become Silicon Valley's latest billionaire, and Thiel could double his fortune if the company goes public, a possibility CARP says Palantir is reluctantly considering. Well, not so reluctantly. In 2020, they did, in fact, go public. And yes, Alex Karp is now a $10 billion man. Most of his net worth has been accrued since the Gaza war, oddly enough. Look at that. Very, very sharp increase. Huge increase in his net worth since October 7th. Weird. Right. Exactly. Weird. Palantir CEO Alex Karp touts warrior culture as company boosts annual revenue outlook. So this is from 2 days ago. So this is new. Palantir CEO Alex Karp credits the defense tech wave for the company's strong first quarter performance. The company raised its annual revenue guidance amid AI software sales momentum. Palantir's stock is up over 64% this year. That's where his explosion in net worth came from, which rose by about the same amount. Palantir CEO Alex Karp is riding high on the pro-defense tech wave largely ushered in by the Trump administration. On Monday's earnings call, Karp attributed the company's first quarter performance to an unvarnished cacophony of the combination of 20 years of investment and a massive cultural shift in the U.S., he said. Culturally, we just don't see the resistance to the way we roll that we did in the past, Karp added. On Monday's earnings call, Karp attributed the company's first quarter redundant. That's what happens when you prep these slides at 1 o'clock in the morning after the Misty Winston show. He also touted the company's warrior culture and that cultural shift, leading the defense tech giant to lift its full-year revenue guidance as AI software sales have gained momentum. The company now expects annual revenue to be between $3.89 and $3.9 billion, up from last year's quarter's midpoint estimate of $3.75 billion. Palantir reported strong revenue figures across the board this quarter. U.S. commercial revenue, meaning revenue from non-governmental customers, jumped 71% year over year to $255 million. Government revenue rose $373 million, up 45% from a year ago. Total revenue grew 39% from a year ago, topping the high end of its prior guidance by almost 350 basis points. The company's stock has soared 64% this year, from just over $75 a share at the beginning of January to over $123 at Monday's close. Now, here is a video of Karp's colleague, Peter Thiel. We've seen this before, but here he is being confronted by a protester about what these services that they provide the government actually do in real life. So here's Peter Thiel taking this question like a real champ.
So what do you think about the use of artificial intelligence, or Lavender, by the IDF in identifying Hamas targets? And secondly, do you agree with Elon Musk about that the population decline is a risk for humanity?
Look, I'm not, without going into all the details,
he and RFK should do a podcast. Guess who's talking? Peter Thiel with Guess Who's Talking with Peter Thiel and RFK Jr.
I'm not on top of all the details of what's going on in Israel because my bias is to defer
I had
to
no
Israel.
idea
It's
Jeffrey
not,
had installed cameras in that room.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Not for us to second guess everything, and I believe that broadly the IDF gets to decide what it wants to do, and that they're broadly in the right. And that's sort of the perspective I come back to. And if I fall into the trap of arguing you on every detailed point, I would actually be conceding the broader issue that the Middle East should be micromanaged from Cambridge. And I think that's just simply absurd. And so I'm not going to concede that point. And what was the other?
The other question? Well, what was the easy question? I did something unusual. I took the hard one first. Not supposed to do that. This is an article in 972 magazine by Yuval Abraham, which you may recognize. He is the co-director of No Other Land. This is his magazine. Lavender, the AI machine directing Israel's bombing spree in Gaza. The Israeli army has marked tens of thousands of Gazans as suspects for assassination using an AI targeting system with little human oversight and a permissive policy for casualties. A permissive policy for casualties. We'll just read one paragraph of this. During the early stages of the war, the army gave sweeping approval for officers to adopt Lavender's kill lists with no requirement to thoroughly check why the machine made those choices or to examine the raw intelligence data on which they were based. One source stated that human personnel often served only as a rubber stamp for the machine's decisions, adding that normally they would personally devote only about 20 seconds to each target before authorizing a bombing, just to make sure the Lavender-marked target is male. This was despite knowing that the system makes what are regarded as errors in approximately 10% of cases and is known to occasionally mark individuals who have merely a loose connection to militant groups or no connection at all. Translation, most of these targets are, of course, obviously civilian targets. There is no way to verify a target via AI. Applying, 20 seconds of human judgment? That's no human judgment at all. So when she stands up,
you don't want to hear an answer, obviously. So the primary source of death in Palestine is the fact that Hamas has realized that there are millions and millions of useful idiots that will...
Yeah, the useful idiots are the ones who don't understand that you are a murderer. Those are the useful idiots. And there are millions of them in this country. But this is really a danger of AI, is that AI is a perfect tool for sociopaths because AI allows these psychos to both assume responsibility and shirk responsibility at the same time. What do I mean by that? Well, we develop a system that identifies terrorist combatant targets. We don't just bomb indiscriminately, but on the other hand, it's too urgent to matter to actually litigate one by one using a human brain and human judgment who we strike and who we don't. So what do? We delegate that to this very sophisticated AI system, and they tell us this is a legitimate target. This is a legitimate target. They generate kill lists. We don't just do this willy-nilly. We go off of what the system gives us. Well, what's the error rate of that system? Well, 10%. Well, do you verify? Well, we just make sure that the target is a male. And if it's a male, we just assume that they're a combatant. Well, do we know how closely the AI has linked this male to a militant group? Well, no. No, we don't really know that. But we're not just doing things willy-nilly. It's the same thing. I mean, this is obviously the most violent and grotesque example, but I've talked about this as a gig worker. You run into this all the time, where they have automated systems and automated responses to problems that come up, knowing there's going to be a large error rate, knowing there's going to be a lot of unfair enforcement of policies. They don't care. They don't care. What AI does is it allows people like Alex Karp to get filthy rich providing services, which gives governments, in this case, a sort of facade of accountability and process to something that, if you take one look at Gaza, it's clear as day what they're actually doing, which is just leveling the whole place. But the reason why AI has been used, I believe, to the extent that it has in this, is to give these governments an excuse that, well, we're working off of something. What is that something? Well, it's this new thing that these really smart people, who we funded, by the way, Palantir is essentially a CIA startup. We're using the tools that we helped them build to help us protect the West. It's all just cover for genocide. That's exactly what it is. And anyone with their eyes open can see that. But he sits there so smugly in a room full of useful idiots, ironically, who celebrate him as a god, as someone who's ushering in this bright future. No, he's ushering in Terminator 2. He's ushering in hell. That's what they're ushering in.
Yeah, I see things like this and I say, hasn't anyone ever watched a science fiction movie?
Right. Well, that's what I meant.
Don't you
T2,
know the
Skynet.
villain in a science fiction movie when you see one? Like Alex Karp is central casting of the villain who destroys the world or creates the dystopian police state. Now, Whitney recently wrote about this, and she's written a lot about what you call the PayPal mafia, but specifically about how the CIA, in order to avoid oversight, basically has been jobbing out these kinds of extra constitutional jobs to private companies like Palantir so that they can do things that the CIA technically are not supposed to do. So you have these guys do it. They're just basically subcontracting out illegal black ops, questionable operations to these companies
and to robots ultimately. Yes,
and to robots, which is terrifying. Now Whitney's pointed out also, these guys all know each other, man. They've all known each other for 20 years. Elon, Alex, Reid Hoffman. It's a big club and you ain't in it. They're creating a world that would make it virtually impossible to overthrow them. That's where this is really going. When you have that kind of constant monitoring and surveillance on a level that humans would never be capable of, Varoufakis writes about this in Techno-Feudalism. He writes about how Amazon is gradually introducing AI management systems that can drive the workers in a way that no human operator ever could, because no human operator could watch what every single person is doing on the floor that way and say, hey, pick it up. You pick it up over there. It's what they're going to do to all of us. It's what they're going to do to all of us. And with Donald Trump, they neutralized the sector of society that was most in opposition to this and dedicating its politics the most to questioning where all of this was going. Now they all went to sleep. Now they don't question why, now that Trump is president, Palantir is still so connected to the government. Those are our guys, right? They're not questioning Elon rifling through the government with Doge. Now that represents defeating the deep state, not the triumph of the deep state. It's quite the opposite. It is the triumph of the deep state. And they did it in a way that got their principal opponents among the public to cheer it on.
Yes, exactly. And I'm just going to take this because I want to include this in the segment when we cut it. Excellent points on AI. Black box reasoning by AI also helps hide unethical correlations in decision making as well. Exactly. Fired after you get cancer, AI did it. Exactly. And that's kind of what I was getting at, but you actually put it a lot better than I did. So basically, as that applies to this example, oh, well, there was just a civilian father of 5 in that building. Oh, AI told us that was a legitimate target. I mean, he was male. We checked it. The system told us that was a target. We checked to make sure he's a man. Oh, I guess if he's a man, that means the AI didn't fuck it up. So, boom, he's gone. Right? If human beings make decision after decision after decision, there is potential, not in this world of ours, but in a sane world, there would be potential for some accountability for that. The more they delegate to robots, the more they could say, hey, look, we built the tools. We tried.
Well, you just modify it. I was following orders from the robot.
Yes, following orders from the robot. Exactly.
Please clap.